Hello family, I'm Robert and I'm a real alcoholic.
Hey, Robert.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the Atlanta Step Up Society book study. Change your thinking, change your life. That's the name of it. Let's open with a moment of silence, followed by the Serenity Prayer. Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You know, this week, the entire week, I've been like on this gratitude thing. You know, just feeling grateful. But more so feeling grateful to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Because I've been in, I've seen, not in it, but around me, I have seen some things that make me more grateful to be a 12-stepper. You know, I've seen people read and just spend hours and hours taking other people's inventory. I'm like, man, I don't have to do that today. You know, y'all told me I don't have to do that. I don't have to do it. And I was watching some people, and this person was very, very disturbed. Very, very disturbed. And I was trying to explain to the person that, yo, you don't have to wear everybody else's feelings. You don't have to wear it. And it's kind of like, by working in the public, dealing with a lot of personalities, 200-300 people coming in and out all day long, it's very easy to put on their emotions on you. But y'all told me I don't have to do that. And I really learned very well not to do it. And it's kind of like, let's say somebody comes up and you make a statement like, you can't do this or you can't do that, and they walk away, and let's say they're angry. Well, it's kind of like I was explaining to some friends today. To me, my perception of other people's emotions is like they're wearing a trench coat. You know, one of them, like we was talking about New York, you know them trench coats that they be wearing, or wool coats? It's kind of like, I tell someone, no, you can't do this, because we deal with the public. They walk away angry. They got on the angry trench coat. And I say, oh, wait a minute. Let me get that angry trench coat you got and put it on me. And I walk around with that anger. Then here, 30 minutes later, here comes someone else. Like, they cursing me out. And they're walking away. I said, hold up. Let me take your trench coat and add it on top of this angry trench coat I just borrowed from this person. At the end of the day, I got on 10 other people's trench coats. What do you think I am? An awful mess. That is not a healthy situation or a healthy lifestyle. We must work on ourselves and free ourselves. Someone will walk away from me and they're angry, I allow them to have that anger. Go on about your business. I don't have to get angry because you're angry. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to get upset because you upset. I don't have to feed into that stuff no more. And that type of control that I'm talking about, or that type of spirituality that I have now, only came because of this 12-step program and you got. Because I remember in my lifetime, somebody got angry at me, I chased them down the block to see who can be the most angriest. I'm going to be louder and more angrier than you are. So I'm going to follow them, going down the street, cursing them out to prove that I'm angrier than you. Not one time did it dawn on me that I would hurt myself. Not one time. Then I've seen some situations where people really need some kind of mental health or need, you know, life is really bad. And today I'm open to allow to tell someone you need to go see some professional help. Yeah. I used to not be open to that. Or homeless, on drugs, on alcohol, life is totally unmanageable, and I would tell y'all, I'm not crazy. I got all my senses. You had to be crazy to think of that in your living in my situation. To even think of that would make me crazy. So the whole week I've been kind of grateful and at peace because I'm able not to feed into all that no more. So that's just where I am. Tonight we're going to keep going into the whys, 2 whys. And I am really, really amazed. It just baffles me that people all over the world are really, really listening and watching these DVDs in the chapter 2 whys. I was telling the guys that work with me today that, man, I never would have expected that. And one guy, he said, well, why not? He was looking at me. But from my experience of 20 years going to 20 plus years going to meetings, we never ever really talked about this chapter. You know, I've been through a couple myself. This is my experience. I've been through book study where we read it real fast and moved on. But I never really took the time or broke it down. And I know we don't be sharing about this in the meeting. When we talk about 2 whys, we talking about their character defects. You know what I mean? A significant other character defects. Yeah. But that's not what they're doing. They're coaching and giving them wisdom and spirituality to the women that suffer from alcoholic husbands. And that makes the difference. And what baffled me was the fact that people are really, really embracing this chapter. Really embracing it. And I'm real grateful for them to do that. But on the same token, it's like, wow, I can't wait to get to the family afterwards. But then you have to go back to the literature. The literature said the reason people were paying attention to us and was observing what we were doing for 2 reasons. One, that as alcoholics, we were staying clean. The second reason was we were being reunited with our families. So if that be the case, that's what's happening here. People are trying to learn how to be reunited, and then united, and then on top of that, I never was a member of Al-Anon. And this is a flavor of Al-Anon. So it's really working. And I'm kind of honored. I'm really honored to be a part of that. All right, let's turn to page 111. Where it says, be determined that your husband's drinking is not going to spoil your relationships with your children or friends. All right, Paul.
Be determined that your husband's drinking is not going to spoil your relations with your children or your friends. They need your companionship and your help. It is possible to have a full and useful life, though your husband continues to drink. We know women who are unafraid, even happy under these conditions. Do not set your heart on reforming your husband. You may be unable to do so, no matter how hard you try.
All right, this is the paragraph. And I was telling some friends tonight, one young lady was saying that she has a hard time, or was having a hard time, comprehending the book, Alcoholics Anonymous book. And I explained it to her, you don't have to comprehend it. Learn what you can learn and let it be. So it's not a thing where you have to read a whole chapter. The way I was taught to read it was paragraph by paragraph. That's how my sponsor told me to do it. He said, before I go to bed at night, read 1 paragraph or 2 paragraphs. Get to a point where you have, like Oprah said, that aha moment. I'm reading something, wow, that's deep. Capture that and contemplate on that. Then the next night, do it. A year or so, you'll be through the entire book, and you only grasping what God has given you. Because I can honestly tell you, I have read this thing and this is not my first time standing up here doing a book study. I done did over 100 book studies in 20 years. I was doing 3 and 4 at a time. Like I can come in here because I'm only doing one and say, we're on page 111. I was doing so many books that I didn't know where we were. You know what I'm saying? I didn't go in there, what page we on? They say, page 82, bam, let's go. That's how I was doing them. I wasn't doing one study at a time, but I learned that I became a messenger. I'll go to one group, do a study, listen to what they had to say, take what they said over here and take it over there.
Yeah.
And I end up being a messenger. So I think as you studying this stuff, 1 or 2 paragraphs at a time, a page, whatever you can do, get what you can get, let that marinate in you, and then move on to the next paragraph. Because the book is kind of like problem and solution anyway. You're going to get a problem, then the solution. Then you're going to get another problem, then a solution. A problem and a solution. So with that, it probably make people's lives easier to comprehend this stuff. But the important thing is that she wanted to comprehend it. And that's, you know, I told you every time I say something, it's going to jail in the book anyway. I'm honored that you want to comprehend it. I know a lot of people don't want to comprehend not page 0. They just want to be good carers. They don't want to read nothing now. So this is what changed your life. Alright, I'm going to get back to where I was. Be determined that your husband drinking is not going to spoil your relations with your children or friends. And that's, to me, that's very important. They're telling these wives, even though your husband is acting like a park ape, he's always drunk. He's always raising hell. Be determined to not let it spoil relations with yourself and your children, yourself and your friends, families, or etc. You have to own up to your own peace and happiness. That makes sense? No matter what they're doing. It says, they need your companionship and help. People, even though our lives could be in a mess, people still need our help. They still need us and depend on us to be helpful. And I can see why the book, today when I was studying, I said to myself, wow, this is deep. Because I can see how resentments can rob us or rob me from being helpful to my family or my kid because I got a resentment at this person. And I spend all my time putting on an overcoat on that resentment that I become angry, I'm resentful, and then nobody getting no help from me. I'm not helping myself or anyone else. And that's why they said earlier on when we was reading last week, never be angry. I didn't understand it last week. I kind of got it this week. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anger ain't gonna help nobody. You can't help nobody being angry. See, I didn't understand it because I always been angry. I never pulled back to not be angry to be able to help or assist someone else. That wasn't a part of this. It's either I'm angry or I'm not angry, but helping someone else, that didn't play into the equation. That makes sense? So, it says that it is possible, and these are promises, it is possible to have a full and useful life, though your husband continues to drink. That's like a promise to me. And, or other words, start working on yourself. No matter what the other person is doing, work on yourself. Work on yourself. I tell the guys in the treatment center all the time, if you got, like I always have, let's say 10 guys is in there, each guy has 25 years of using insanity. 10 times 25 is what? 250 years of insanity inside the house. Then you get all 10 guys together and put them together at clean time, they might have 2. 2 years clean. And they trying to take someone else's inventory. You ain't gonna win. 248 years of insanity versus y'all little 2. I think you need to work on yourself.
Yeah.
The equation don't add up in your favor. You looking at everybody else. All right? it says, we know women who are unafraid, even happy under these conditions. Do not set your heart on reforming your husband. You can't lose yourself. You can't lose your kids and your family and everything about you by trying to reform someone else, change someone else, whip them into shape. And I know for a fact that's a part of, in my family, the women always want to marry someone or be with someone and then change that person. And it never worked. Remember, I always say something about finances, because finances make more sense to me than anything. People who have financial problems, this is just me. It might have worked for other people, but I'm almost 60. I have never seen it work. And I asked a guy older than me today, he said he ain't never seen this work either. Where you got a financial problems in your family or your life, paying bills and this and that, and you think, and you do, get another job to fix the finance problem. So now you got 2 jobs and still finance problem because it had never ever worked. I ain't never seen it work. You just got 2 jobs and more bills. The bill collector still calling. You just added all another 40 hours on top of what you already had. Because it ain't changed nothing at home. I never seen it happen. I think you need to recreate something. Change your thinking, maybe get some education. Do something different. Just add on another McDonald's ain't gonna solve nothing. You can't go from Wendy's to McDonald's and pay bills. I'm sorry. But it might happen. I'm not knocking Wendy's, I'm not knocking that. But I think your thinking needs to change. Because you're just walking from one, you add it on to your lackness. Just having more lack in your life. And then say you're a Christian. But Christians want to be, if you're a son of God, you're going to be abundant somewhere. That's my thing. So if you set your heart on reforming someone else, you're going to lose you. What's important to you? You may be unable to do so no matter how hard you try. I believe that. All right, let's go to the next one.
We know these suggestions are sometimes difficult to follow, but you will save many a heartbreak if you can succeed in observing them. Your husband may come to appreciate your reasonableness and patience. This may lay the groundwork for a friendly talk about his alcoholic problem. Try to have him bring up the subject himself. Be sure you are not critical during such a discussion. Attempt instead to put yourself in his place. Let him see that you want to be helpful rather than critical.
We know these suggestions are sometimes difficult to follow. They're talking about the suggestion of never being angry, being patient, have good temper. They talk about these principles that you should employ in your family while you have an alcoholic husband or alcoholic wife, vice versa. And they say that we know these suggestions are sometimes difficult to follow. Now here's the deal. But you will still save many a heartbreak if you can succeed in observing them. So I think awareness is the answer right here. I can't follow I cannot never be angry or not angry all the time. I'm going to have some angriness in me. But I found that just to be aware that I'm angry about this situation, I maybe deal with it a little bit better. If I'm aware that my temper is short, I know a lot of time in business, my temper be really short. Not to me, but to the people that I'm dealing with at the time. If I have something pressing to do, like upstairs and I'm downstairs, and a customer stop to ask me a question, a lot of time I don't want to talk to them because I have something pressing upstairs I need to do, and I'm ill-tempered. I just don't want to deal with it. And then if I see someone that I know is a little bit off, you know, and always aggravating when they come in here, I become angry. You know what I'm trying to say? I be like, last out of it, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. He could have been saying, I'm going to donate $100,000 to your organization. But by me, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. And awareness, by me becoming aware of that, I was able to change. You know, sometimes I have made U-turns. Be ill-tempered, come up the step, turn around, and go back. Now, hold on, let me hear what you got to say. Even that's better than knowing that I didn't treat the situation right and keep on going. Right. Awareness made me turn around and kind of do like a mini amends. You know? So, and even when I'm angry, and then we in family, we in the book on family. This happens all the time with husbands and wives on a daily basis. Boyfriend and girlfriend on a daily basis. You don't agree with something, you pout like two little kids. Instead of saying, let me become aware that this is happening and make some changes about it. That makes sense? So observing what's going on and becoming aware, that's to me a spiritual principle. That's spirituality. What part in me that I need to be aware of that's affecting other people? So they're telling them to be aware of these situations. Observing them. Your husband may come to appreciate your reasonableness and patience. This may lay the groundwork for a friendly talk about his alcoholic problem. Try to have him bring up the subject himself. This is the same as they're teaching these women the same thing we learn with working with others. All right, you don't want to really tell an alcoholic you're an alcoholic. I already kind of figured that one out, you know. But if somebody point their finger at me, I usually get a resentment and shut down. That makes sense. That's what we do. Or if you call, for me, when people talked about my alcoholism, I had the mindset, if you think I'm drunk now, I'm going to show you what drunk is. You know, I leave and get really drunk. You know what I'm saying? I still got $50. You think I'm drunk now? I try to be nice by coming home with the $50. I'm going to show you what drunk and high is now. I'm gone. You know, we don't need nothing but a little bit of excuse. It don't need much. So I think it is better to have patience and let me bring it up myself. Because if you say anything about it, I'm gone. You know, that's funny, but it's the truth. Be sure you are not critical during such a discussion. I don't think, yeah, you're right. Attempt instead to put yourself in his place. Let him see that you want to be helpful rather than critical. And that's really, really, I go both ways with that. You know, I try to, like, especially with working with others, I try to be very helpful. But in the same thing, tweaking a little criticalism in there too. Because I have never, ever, and by the grace of God and the company I kept, been clean and sober without the book a part of my sobriety. I didn't have that option. When I got clean and sober, the guys were like drill sergeants. They were pounding it in you. You know, they were taking big books and throwing them at you. You know, and then you walk into a place like we talked about Leroy Daniels. You know, you walk into a place like where them guys were at, and they had 20 and 30 clean, and you was the newcomer in there. And if you came back 1 or 2 or 3 times, they start pumping that book in you, pouring the book in you. If you didn't have a book, they bought you a book and told you sit down, shut up, don't say one word. All y'all raising your hand, shared 3 months. We couldn't do that. You wasn't saying nothing. You read a book, they give you thing, and then you ask, can I get in the book study? No. You had to earn your way into a book study then. Because they were critical. They would lock the door. There's only 10 coming in here. They would lock the door and they would teach you this stuff, teach you to pound it until you got it. you know. And for me, I never been without the book. So I'm really, really critical when it comes to people staying clean and sober without the book. I don't understand how you do that. I really don't. It will make no sense to me. That's just me. It makes no sense. I was a good sharer when I was drunk. Yeah, I had nothing to share about, but I was the best sharer there was. It had no substance to it whatsoever. I could do that drunk. So to come in here and be a good sharer and don't have no knowledge of the book, I don't know how you do that. All right, and I'm grateful for that. All right, the next paragraph.
When the discussion does arise, you might suggest you read this book, or at least a chapter on alcoholism. Tell him you have been more worried, though perhaps needlessly. You think he ought to know the subject better, as everyone should have a clear understanding of the risk he takes if he drinks too much. Show him you have confidence in his power to stop or moderate. Say you do not want to be a wet blanket, that you only want to take care of his health. Thus, you may succeed in interesting him in alcoholism.
Now, check this out. When a discussion does arise, whenever the alcoholic in that family starts to talk about alcoholism, here's the deal. They say, wait with patience. Well, I think when these women were waiting, they were studying the book. They were reading the book. They were reading the book. They just wasn't waiting for a relapse, like, per se. They were studying the book. Because it confirms it in here. It says, when a discussion does arise, you might suggest, they're telling other women, that you might suggest he read this book, or at least the chapter on alcoholism. So if that means the women obviously had the book before the alcoholic did. Alright. It said that tell him you have been worried, though perhaps needlessly. You think he ought to know the subject better, as everyone should have a clear understanding of the risk he takes if he drinks too much. How would they know that? About the clear understanding of the risk he takes. They had to read it to him. I can't tell nobody, I want you to read this book right here, this one. And I need you to get a clear understanding of what you're going to take if I haven't opened it up myself. Now, I'm pretty sure people have done that. But they suggested that that women read this. And if you look into it deeper, they also did the steps. They also did the steps. I have witnessed that in my own 12-step life. I used to teach a class, do this book study in an environment where they had a family group going on down the hall, and I was doing mine. And we were loud, and and they could hear me down the hall. After they finished their group, we were only being at 15 minutes. So we still got another, and that when we were doing it for an hour and a half. We didn't do no hour group. We only did the hour for the tape, for the YouTube. But a book study was an hour and a half. Alright? So they would come out and spend like an hour and 15 minutes in our group. It'd be the family. And I used to observe a month go by, the women be in our group and the guys be gone. The husband be on relapse and the women stay in there, finish the book study, do the steps, get a sponsor. They weren't alcoholics in that. They liked our spiritual program and changed their lives. It says that as everyone should have a clear understanding of the risk he takes if he drinks too much. Show him you have confidence in his power to stop or moderate. Say you do not want to be a wet blanket, that you only want him to take care of his health. Thus you may succeed in interesting him in alcoholism. I think that the approach that they're taking is the approach that we all should take if we're going to sponsor someone. You know, a lot of times I see myself wanting to reform people, but at the end of the day, you have to have a little bit of like a little humble approach, a dramatic kind of approach to get people to really want this thing, to love this thing. You know, it's one thing staying clean and sober, but it's another thing staying clean and sober, being unafraid of the challenges of life, being able to grow and live without fear, and allow the promises to kick into your life where you are free of people and economic insecurity, where you can really express the love, the concern that this power that's greater than us have for our life. I was speaking to another recovery addict today. We had a long conversation. This woman loves to care for dogs. She has like 8-9 years clean. She loves dogs. She breeds dogs. She grooms dogs. She's buying a big farm, you know, where in the rural area down south, farm with a house. Then in the back of the house is another small house. And on the side of that, like 4 acres of land, on the side of that, it has 1, 2, 3 of those wooden sheds that has electric run out to them. She loves dogs, and a big wooden fence around the whole property. To me, that's dog grooming, loving heaven. Yeah. To me. She called me today. She was a little upset because she called someone else who's in our program. And the person said, "Why would you do that? The dogs already take up all of your life. You can't go to the movies. You can't take vacations. All you is just a dog person. You don't go to meetings." She said, "Yes, I do. I watch Robin and them and that group every Thursday." Yeah, that's enough meeting for me. You know, that's what she told her. I said, "Well, if that's what you feel, fine. I can't say what you're supposed to do." And she said, "What you think about that?" I said, "Well, I don't know what you determine what life is. To me, my dharma, my life, what I consider a life is to be able to help other recovering alcoholics. That's my life. My life is to teach the 12 steps and help others to recover. That's what I do. That is my life. Owning a thrift store is my job. That's not my life." You know what I'm trying to say? The other person told her that you don't have a life. I said, "See, that's what I would disagree. I think you do have a life. To me, dogs are just like human beings. They're little people. They have feelings and emotions. You know what I'm saying? They're little spiritual people. So for you to treat them and love them like you do, to me, that's your life. Going to movies and taking a trip, that's not no life." I said, "What do that person do for a life or do for a living that's telling you you don't have a life?" She told me she's unemployed. No wonder she thinks a life is going to the movie, going there. That to her, that's a life. To me, that's a waste of time. Any movie I want to see, I can click on my Xfinity and see it. They got it now so fast, if it come out today, you can watch it the day before. It's your prepaid. It ain't no joke no more. ain't gotta go to no movie unless you want popcorn or just want to hang around people. You don't have to do that. You can go down, if it come out on the 14th, you can watch it on the 13th. Just pay $2 or $3 more. So, I don't consider that life. I think doing what God wants you to do and love them dogs like that is your life. So I said, to me, going to the movies or having a job, that's not your life. Once you have a dharma, then you know what your life is, what your calling is. That's your life. That makes sense? A job ain't nobody life. Don't get that twisted. Because if that be true, when they fire you, where your life? See, can't nobody fire me from working with others. Can't nobody fire me from teaching the 12 steps. That's a life. You go in there, you think your job, your life, you're going to get cut short. Going there with your lip, but your life gone. That's not a life. And that proves it, because if you can hear my voice and you in this room, you done been fired over 10 times already in your life. So, you know what you got? You're a cat? Y'all got 9 lives? Ain't no life. I got that twisted. Alright, where we at, Paul?
He probably has several alcoholics among his acquaintances. You might suggest that you both take an interest in that. Drinkers like to help other drinkers. Your husband may be willing to talk to one of them.
That's so beautiful in there. We come into our program, and then they say we should work with others. We should help others. And then right then and there, people get, well, I can't help nobody. I don't know how to sponsor nobody. All we asking you to help somebody. Or you don't want to do it now. I'm just going to worry about myself. I ain't thinking about nobody else. But that contradicts helping. Because not one of us, when we were using or drinking, did not have someone, or we helping someone stay drunk. We help each other stay drunk. We help each other stay high. We did that together, gracefully. For long periods of time, we helping each other stay drunk. All of a sudden, in sobriety, I don't want to help nobody. It said right there, he probably has several alcoholics among his own acquaintances, and he do. You might suggest that you both take an interest in them. Drinkers like to help other drinkers. Your husband may be willing to talk to one of them. They're telling you drunk, all right, even if you drunk, go talk to someone and see if maybe we can't get sober, you know what I'm saying? Or we might have a book we can read together or something. Let's start something, just a movement. Let's start a little small movement between drinkers to head in another direction. I think that's brilliant. They don't even wait till you get sober. They go on out there drunk and start doing it. Maybe both of them can sit over there. Maybe both of them can sit there, drink a fill, get drunk enough, and both of them have a spiritual awakening. Get some help. It can happen. All right, the next one, Paul.
If this kind of approach does not catch your husband's interest, it might be best to drop the subject. But after a friendly talk, your husband will usually revive the topic himself. This may take patient waiting, but it will be worth it. Meanwhile, you might try to help the wife of another serious drinker. If you act upon these principles, your husband may stop or moderate.
This kind of approach does not catch your husband's interest. Working with others, don't catch his interest. It may be best to drop the subject, but after a friendly talk, your husband will usually revive the topic himself. And you know where they're headed with this. If we keep drinking, the topic of sobriety, once the awareness is, start to think about that. When you start hitting rock bottom, you start to think about that. You know, when I was when I first started, early, like the second year, third year of recovery, I used to like go and order 10. I used to always keep me 10 books in my car, this AA books. And every meeting I would go in, you know, when they say anybody, you know, at the end, you got an announcement, I would announce that I got a book for a newcomer to see me after the meeting. And I would give away books. Or sometimes my mother or family members or friends would ask me to do 12-step calls, you know, family. And I would go there with a book and I just leave the book. They didn't really want to hear what I was saying. You know, at the time, I would leave the book. And gradually, as the years went on, I seen people come in the rooms or call up to say they want to get sobriety, and they still had the book. I done seen that. You know, I did that with my brother. I gave him a book early in recovery. 3 years, you know, when I had like 3 or 4 years clean, he came in sobriety, and he had the book that I had gave him. So the book does work. He didn't know nothing about no meetings, nothing about no 12 steps, but he had his book. And he said he had been reading it. Alright? So it says that this kind of interest does not catch your husband interest. It may be best to drop the subject. But after friendly talk, your husband will usually revive the topic himself. This may take patient waiting. But it will be worth it. Meanwhile, you might try to help the wife of another serious drinker. So they're saying that while you're waiting on your husband, you're reading a book. So go out and help another alcoholic's wife. Start working with others. Because they know that we keep what we got by giving it away. They know that it's spiritual to help other people. So, and it takes you out of your predicament. That makes sense? If let's say if my wife is drunk, and then I go and I want to work with other men who have wives that's a drunk, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna meet a husband whose wife is more drunker than mine. Even that will give me some gratitude. That makes sense? I will get some gratitude out of that. Like, wow, I really thought my situation was bad. What about this one? You know, I had to humble myself and want to dig deeper, because you can find a way to help someone in any situation. All right? If you act upon these principles, your husband may stop or moderate, because he's seeing us do stuff. You know, the 12 steps is contagious. I told y'all that. If you practice these principles in your home, the people in your home will get this. Gradually, at their own time, they will get it. Children get it real fast. Some adults might take a little longer. But if you got kids, they get this. And you'll see their lives, you know, they become like real productive members of society. You like stand back and be in awe because they do so well. They get this. All right, the next one, Paul.
Suppose, however, that your husband fits the description of number 2. The same principles which apply to husband number 1 should be practiced. But after his next binge, ask him if he would really like to get over drinking for good. Do not ask that he do it for you or anyone else. Just would he like to.
All right. Suppose that your husband fits the description of number 2. I'm not going to go back through the categories of the description, but I remember number 2 was the type that's just out of control. You know what I'm trying to say? He was out of control. And, you know, he could, I think he's the one that really wanted you to stop or something, you know, but didn't know how. But at the end of the day, it says the same principles which apply to husband number 1 should be practiced. Anger, working with others, having patience, you know what I'm trying to say? Don't criticize them, don't put them down. Just go along with the same things. All right, he says that, but here's the deal. And I think this is very important. In fact, it's deep. After his next binge, and you know he's going to have another one. They ain't even say when, whatever, maybe, might. No, they said next binge. Ask him if he would really like to get over drinking for good. Would you really like to get over drinking for good? Nobody ever approached me like that. I got stuff like, you need to quit drinking because you got a demon in you. You need to go to church. You the devil with you. You know what I'm saying? I got all kind of stuff. But it wasn't nobody to ask me politely. And I'm not going to mess up their words. If you, Robert, would really like to get over drinking for good. I didn't hear that kind of stuff till I came into recovery. Prior to that, I was demon, I was the devil, I was slime, you know what I'm saying? I was no good. I was criticized and put down every which way you can possibly put down another human being. And you talk about kicking a dog when he's down? Yeah. That's what I got. And then I didn't know how to handle it. I'm already feeling bad about myself. Then I got all these people around me making me feel worse. Bad. Making me feel bad about that. You know what I'm trying to say? Only thing I could do was go drink some more to show y'all that I'm going to hurt myself even more. Alright? So I think that's very important. And to me, that's like a learning tool for me. Do not ask that he do it for you or anyone else. I remember when, for like Ken, he used that pet peeve. That was his pet peeve for years. He would tell people for years, if you're doing it for anybody else, or a job, or employer, or any situation, or your family, or someone else, you might well leave now. That's what you're talking about. Because you are not going to stay clean. You have to be wanting to do this for yourself. It has to be about you. Just would he like to? Would you like to stay clean and sober? For good. I think approaching that way, I don't know how you probably could say no to that. I can say no to being a demon, but I didn't think I was a demon. In fact, I thought you were the demon. Because my thing was blaming everybody else. Everything you said about me, it was you. All right.
The chances are you would. Show him your copy of this book and tell him that what you have found out about alcoholism. Show him that as alcoholics, the writers of this book understand. Tell him some of the interesting stories you have read. If you think he will be shy of a spiritual remedy, ask him to look at the chapter on alcoholism. Then perhaps he will be interested enough to continue.
Here's the deal. I know when I said the women were reading the book before the alcohol, I saw people look at me, please. The chances are he would. He would want to be sober for good. I know I would want to be sober for good. Yeah. That's better than saying I'm a demon for good. Show him a copy of this book. And tell him what you have found out about alcoholism. That means they studied the book. Now that goes back to my criticism. How can the women that's not alcoholic study our literature and learn our principle, and I can understand them doing that if I'm drunk, trying to help me or get a knowledge about my situation before I do. Because anytime I go into a hospital, the doctor has studied the book and have knowledge about my problem, so when I present it to them, they have a solution. So these women found out about Al-Anon or whatever, studied the book, and then presented the book to their sick patient, which happened to be their husband. That make any sense? Now, I can go along with that. But I cannot go along with you being in recovery now, in AA, with books in every meeting. Everybody got books, and you don't study it. No, I can't get with that program. I just can't do it. That's just me. I don't even know how you stay clean. I don't know how you work 4 steps. I have no clue how you know about the disease of addiction, and you don't even know who Dr. Silkworth is. The doctor's opinion. I have no clue how you do it. So my thing is, I'm not going to be critical, but wouldn't you like to stay clean and sober for good? And if you say yeah, wouldn't you take a suggestion to read and study this book? That's one way. If you in this fellowship, you want to stay good, and I'm pretty sure if you're in the fellowship, you don't want to use. So the best thing I can suggest is read the book. Because people outside the fellowship were sure reading it. That makes sense? Tell him, it says, show him that as alcoholics, the writers of the book understand. How do I know the writers of the book understand? Well, I read something. Tell him some of the interesting stories you have read. They read the stories. If you think he will be shy of a spiritual remedy, ask him to look at the chapter on alcoholism. Then perhaps he will be interested enough to continue. The spiritual remedy is the 12 steps. All right, they're talking about the 12 steps here. And I think I'm just going to talk about this for a little while, then go into next week. Now, spirituality is broad. All right? And basically what we're talking about is working on, each step is like an ego deflator. It chops that big ego out and breaks it down. I know for myself that I had a huge ego. I thought I knew everything. And you know, one of the most profound things I learned is that most very successful people only know what they know. And they stay in their zone. Most unprofessional people like me at the time, they know everything. They can tell you about any subject and everything. So, to me, that's what I was. I didn't have a zone. I knew everything. I was telling some people the other day about cars. How I used to, in my mind, especially homeless and everything, a car, the problem of any most people car, if it didn't crank, was the starter. I learned that. I had 2 starters replaced. But I carried it everywhere. That concept stayed with me. If I walking down somewhere and saw somebody's car break down, I said, oh, it's the starter. You know what I'm saying? Somebody over here, it's the starter. It's the starter. It's the starter. I didn't look up on no hood. I didn't. That was sure didn't get on no ground and look up under that. The starter's kind of close to the ground. You got to go under. You know, I didn't do none of that. But in my mind, it was a starter. And I happened to be, like, I was in recovery, maybe a year clean or so. And y'all had told me, stop saying stuff you don't know nothing about. You know what I mean? Just stick to what you kind of know. Don't stop just talking about stuff you don't know about. And I never forget this. I was going into Kroger, and a man was cranking up his car, trying to, you know, whatever. And I walked past the car. And I turned around and went back to the man, and I said, it's the starter. But y'all had told me to stop doing that. You know, and the man looked at me and said, how do you know it's the starter? This is my car. Look what he told me. I said, I don't know. I just thought it was a starter. He said, I'm out of gas. It ain't no starter. I'm out of gas. So to me, that was a spiritual awakening. So y'all had gave me suggestions. You had told me, and I had never told no one else in 20 years that it's the starter. I was able to take that suggestion and twerk it and make it right. That makes sense? And to me, that's spiritual. Anything that can make you change a belief system from an old one to a better one inside of me is spirituality.
All right.
I ain't need no praying. You know what I'm saying? I ain't need Jesus. All I need to do is make an internal tweak in my belief system about stars. To make an internal belief system in my mindset that I'm a person that's going to use all the time to a man that's clean and sober is spiritual to me. Yeah. To be able to change old belief system and replace them with new healthy ones is spiritual to me. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. To not be afraid no more and live in fear, to live in faith and really let faith operate in my life is spiritual to me. So that's just me. That's just a small area of it. I can take spirituality over the years and look back and see how much I have grown. I was telling people, it's not a night that I go to sleep. Most people just fall asleep. They was asking me today, what you do at night? They were talking about the tapes. When I go home at night, I don't go to sleep. My sleep has a purpose. It has a mission. That makes sense? I have a mission in my sleep. I just don't close my eyes and wake up the next morning. My sleep is important to me. I imagine right before I fall asleep what I am down the road. I picture that. I lost 20 pounds and I ain't go to no gym. I just saw myself 20 pounds lighter. I fell asleep with it. So when I go to sleep, my mind in the invisible world, in the spiritual world, because this is objective. Everything you see out here is outside is the objective world. Inside is the spiritual world. I let my spiritual world go to work for me at night when I'm sleeping. That's just another form of spirituality. I just don't go to sleep and snore. I put my mind to work. You like that, don't you, Erica? You like that one, don't you? Put your mind to work in your sleep. That's what all the characters in the Bible did. Every last one of them. You study them. I saw a vision. I laid my head on a rock. That's what he said. And then my life got so good, I went back to where I laid my head on a rock and built an altar. Where the rock was. I was sitting at a tree. I was sitting down at the gate of the place where they trade. Everybody saw God work in their dreams. And then it became a reality. But that's nothing new, because there's nothing on this planet, nothing man-made did not start in the mind. So here's something spiritual before we leave. We got enough time. This is spiritual. The universe, we all believe that God created everything, right? Mm-hmm. It's a creative power that makes everything work. We all believe that one, right? Mm-hmm. a woman, let's do women tonight. A woman has a baby inside of her. She can't go and take a baby and lay it out and put it together. Let me get some hair over here, a nose from over here. You know what I'm saying? Even the best scientists and doctors in the world can't build no baby from scratch. It comes from in here. That same spirit, the same spirit that formed that baby inside of you, it came from the same creator, the same creative power that formed the universe. So how can you say God's not in you? The same one that made the universe formed that baby.
Right.
Then you're going to walk around and say, he out there somewhere. That makes no sense. Thank y'all for a good meeting.